Hello, and thank you for joining us for one in a few conversations about your voice, your ballot, issues that you will see on your ballot when you go to the polls or complete your absentee ballot for the general election. I am Stephanie Jackson, chairman of the Connection Committee of the Beta Pi Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I am joined by Rosalyn Middleton, who is a member of our Connection Committee. And the Connection Committee is responsible for hosting and and shepherding us through the voter engagement period this election season. So Rosalyn, thank you so much for joining me for this discussion. And so we just want to jump right into it. What we're discussing at this time is those issues that we will see on the ballot, whether they are initiated acts or constitutional amendments. You will give us an explanation of those and just kind of lead us through what we're going to see on the ballot and what it means to vote for or vote against those issues.
Good afternoon, Stephanie. Sure. We've got three ballot issues this election season. We will start with issue one, which is better known as the highway bill. And if you don't mind, I'll share my screen here so you can see the ballot title and see how it'll appear on your ballot.
Okay.
All right. So our first one is issue one, and I refer to it because it's a quick way to refer to it is the highway bill.
Okay.
And what it proposes to do, it's going to make permanent a half-cent state sales tax that's currently helping fund the state's four-lane highway system, the county roads and city streets by making this tax permanent. Right now, it's temporary and it's set to expire in June 2023, but they are proposing to make this a permanent tax to help fund highway construction and improvements and things of that nature. Now, I think it's also important for the members to know, who's in favor. You see all these ads that this group is for, vote for issue one or vote against issue one. So what I've taken the liberty of doing is we're going to pull the veil back real quick on each one of these as we go through. And voting for issue one, those in support of issue one, is a group called Vote for Roads, Vote for Issue One, and that group is composed of Shannon Newton, Randy Zook, and Marvin Childers. Those that are against issue one is a group called No Permanent Tax, No on issue one, and they are Ryan Norris, Josh Silverstein from over at the law school, and Alex Vardain. Next on the ballot, we're going to have issue two. And this is called an Arkansas Term Limits Amendment. The previous Arkansas proposed term limits amendment, it got struck by the court, so we didn't get to vote on it. But this one is proposing a term limit again on the members of the Arkansas legislature. And what it proposes to do, it's going to eliminate what we call these lifetime term limits for our state legislators. Currently, they are limited to serving no more than 6 years. That can either be consecutively or concurrent or not consecutively. This proposed amendment is going to amend the term. It's going to impose, let me say, best way to impose what they call a 12-year limit. They can serve 12 years in a row and then take a break of 4 years and run again. As it currently stands, once they hit the 16 years of service, whether it's been consecutively or not consecutively, they cannot no longer run again. But amendment issue two is proposing to just impose a 12-year limit and with a 4-year break in between terms. So that means you can serve 12, take a break, come back in and serve another 12 if you so choose, when the voters so choose. Now, it also will allow any legislator that's elected in November, they will serve under the current term limit law. So they will be able to serve that 16 years consecutive or non-consecutively. And it also includes a 2-year Senate term that results after apportionment. When we do apportionment for the census, there's a thing where they go in and do some adjustments. They do these 2-year Senate terms. So they normally don't count in calculating the 16 years. But after elected after January 1, 2021, that Senate 2-year Senate term will count towards their 12 years.
So Rosalind, that's a big issue. If we could just take a little bit, I have a question about, so the legislators that would be, as you mentioned, elected this year, and they would be able to serve under the current rules as they exist now, which is you can serve up to 16 years.
Yeah.
If voters reelect you, if you move from one house to the other, you can serve up to 16 years. And then they would be able to take a break for 4 years.
Yeah.
And
come back again.
And then come back again. If voters reelect them, then they would be able to serve another 12 years.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I clearly understood that 16 versus 12 years. And then if you wouldn't mind just briefly explaining, when we talk about apportionment, what that means in layman's terms for people who may not have heard that terminology before.
Each census, they have to go back and redraw the lines, and some districts lose population, so they will change and to adjust. That's what they do. They do this what they call apportionment, moving Senate lines around. So what they'll go in and do is adjust the Senate. With the Senate, there's a different term than the House of Representatives members. So Senate members will get this like 2-year, an extra like a 2-year term after following apportionment. From following a census, they get this what they impose with this 2-year term. Because maybe that Senate seat might be merging with another senator seat, or some population might be moving that was normally in. So that senator is allowed, a 2-year, kind of like a 2-year grace period.
Okay.
And the 2-year grace period wasn't counting toward their 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now that 2-year grace period is now going to count toward the 12.
Okay. So a lot of things that, most of us probably don't care about or may not fully understand, but I definitely wanted you and your, with your expertise to provide that information in this setting. And then also it just highlights another reason that if you haven't done the census yet, complete the census. You have until October 31st, because the census make, everything that matters in terms of how we shift around our legislative seats. It matters. It ties directly back.
It involves a lot of stuff, and that's why I included that point in here, because I knew we've been pushing the census. So I wanted to show that it impacts even the terms that your legislators serve.
Right. Amazing. So my2020census.gov. If you have not already done the census, I just want to throw that in there. Okay. Have until October 31st.
And there are no groups currently opposing issue 2.
Okay.
But it is being challenged in court. So right now it is still on the ballot. It is up for the Arkansas Supreme Court. They're in their what they call their briefing period. So right now it's on the ballot. But watch the news and watch the newspapers here in the next couple of weeks to see what kind of movement we get on this, because it might not be on your ballot come election day.
Okay.
If you vote early, it's probably already there. Early voting starts here on October 19th. Those have been printed, so it's on the ballot, but there's still a possibility of this one being taken off the ballot.
Mm-hmm. And there might be, are there a couple of others that didn't make the cutoff, so you might see them on your ballot, but those votes won't count, right?
Initially, there were 6 ballot issues on the ballot, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more when we talk about issue 3.
Okay.
The 3 that were taken off the ballot were the citizen-initiated referendums and proposed amendments, and they were challenged in court for various reasons, and they were removed from the ballot.
Okay.
Which kind of dives into issue 3. And this is what you see. It's in the pink. Is your ballot title. I mean, is the proper name, the name of your of issue 3. Down here at the bottom is the ballot title. And we got our friend here, Mark Simpson, here because I see this one as I think that it impacts citizens' right to petition for uh, changes in the law and proposed constitutional amendments, like medicinal marijuana. Those were citizen-initiated acts. So I put our good friend Mark Simpson here because I think that will resonate with people about you going into the store, getting asked to sign the petition to get something on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and issue 3, it does a lot.
Indeed.
It does quite a bit here. What the short version is that voters are being asked to approve changes to the Constitution, to the Arkansas Citizen Initiative process. The number of votes required for the legislative ballot issues and publication requirements for legislative ballot titles. But the news to me, I knew this stuff had to be published, but all ballot issues have to run in the paper 6 months prior to going on the ballot.
That's one of the lawsuits right now, right?
That's one of the lawsuits that was filed actually this past Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about with publication numbers being down, how many citizens are actually going to see this in the newspaper?
Mm-hmm.
So
And for those areas that might not even have a newspaper.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes changes to 3 different sections, and we can dive into those here in just a second. But the key takeaway that you'll hear a lot of people saying about issue 3 is that if it's approved, it will make it more difficult for citizens to get proposed measures creating new laws or amendments to the Arkansas Constitution on the ballot. So let's kind of look at here what we're talking about. It changes Article 5, Section 1 of our Constitution. And this is where we talk about the citizen initiative process and proposed changes to the law. Instead of having to submit your petition 4 months ahead of the general election, the due date for the petitions will now be January 15th of the election year. Right now, when you gather your signatures for your petition, you only have to collect signatures from 15 counties. Issue 3 will increase the number of counties where voter signatures must be collected from 15 to 45 counties. Then it also will establish April 15th of the election year as the deadline for filing any lawsuit challenging a statewide ballot measure that's being proposed by the public. So right now, as I said, we just had a lawsuit filed as recently as Friday.
Mm. Now, do we have any other laws where there are limitations on when you can file a lawsuit? Do we have anything on the?
Well, we have statutes of limitations for things like negligence. You have to file your lawsuit within 2 years. But here's something else that we haven't gotten to. It also changes the burden, what we call the burden of proof in these type of lawsuits. The person challenging the ballot of initiative will no longer have to have the burden of proving that it is unconstitutional or should be taken off the ballot. It strikes that language there in this Article 5, Section 1. So they don't quite know what it means. That's what they're saying. They don't know what it means, but it kind of, when you say that they no longer have that burden, it kind of seems to me like you're going to be shifting the burden of proof to those that are who propose the ballot issue.
That they have to become the defenders of their.
Well, you're defending it anyway, but now somebody can come in and challenge, and they really don't have to put on any proof. That's what it says to me as an attorney.
That I got it. Okay.
And you'll hear, once they submit their petitions, they might not have signatures or challenge, and they'll go back out and collect more signatures to meet the threshold requirement of signatures for getting their issue on the ballot. But what happens here with issue 3 is approved, you no longer have that ability to go collect additional signatures.
Let's stop right there because and just really I want to make sure that I understand that what you're saying is um, currently if an amendment or an initiated act falls short of having signatures from eligible voters, say you collected some signatures and 2% of your signatures these people were not eligible voters, or you didn't meet I guess the threshold for collecting in all of the counties or something of that sort, you still had an opportunity to go back out into the public and collect those signatures.
Right.
This would take that away. Okay, and this
Right.
would
They call, yeah, they call that the cure period. And what issue 3 will do, it will eliminate that. If the Secretary of State says you don't have the number of signatures, you can't go back out. Your issue will not make the ballot. And here's the interesting thing too. This cure period, you also have it for local ballot initiatives, and it will eliminate that cure period for local initiatives. So like if someone's proposing an ordinance here for Little Rock,
okay,
and if they fall short, they also had an opportunity to go out and get additional signatures.
mm-hmm.
So if the county clerk says that they don't meet the threshold requirement under issue 3, they can't go back out and collect signatures also.
Okay, yes, this issue 3 does a whole lot.
And this is just the one section that it changes.
Okay, yes, we still have more
We
sections.
have 2 more sections where it makes changes. So it also changes Article 19, Section 2, what they call miscellaneous provisions. And this deals with what we call like issue 2, 1, 2, and 3, which are all initiated out by the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
And something, a little fact to know is each legislative session, the legislature can propose 3 proposed ballot amendments. And to do that, they only need what they call simple majority of 50% of the legislators of both houses voting to put this out to the people to vote on. Issue 3 will change that from 50% or to 60%, or what they call 3/5 of the members of each house. And if you heard me talk about the publishing it in the paper, it will delete the requirement that the constitutional amendments by the legislator be published in a newspaper in each county for 6 months. Instead, the proposed amendment will be published in a manner provided by law.
So then the legislators would need to create that law to determine what the manner would be.
Well, you kind of already have that, in legal speakeasy or whatever. We have what the daily record here in Pulaski County that's published. I mean, they might say you can publish it out on a website. Who knows?
Okay.
But anything that, you could go with default to a legal definition. But yeah, the legislature could go back and state what means that they want it published.
Okay.
And that is Article 19, Section 2. So that would be the second change that it would make. And then it will also change Amendment 70, Section 2. And this is the section dealing with the salaries for for those that are elected positions here in the state, like your judges, even your governor, lieutenant governor, all your constitutional officers. And it'll add a sentence to the Constitution requiring that constitutional amendments that are proposed under Amendment 70, Section 2, basically comply with Article 19, Section 22, which is the section we just discussed previously, by changing the number of votes to 3/5 of each house to get this any amendment that's impacting the salary of our officers or elected officials. They'll need instead of a simple majority from the House of Representatives and the Senate, you just need 3/5 all members, or what they call 60% instead of the 50%. It just basically mirrors the changes that are being imposed in Article 19, Section 22. instead of being published in a newspaper in each county for 6 months prior to the election, these proposed amendments will also have to be published in a manner that's provided by law.
Okay.
So think of it, it's basically doing as if it impacts your elected official salary, or is a proposed constitutional amendment coming from the legislature. You need a 3/5 majority from the legislature to get it on the ballot instead of a simple majority of 50%. And the proposed amendment will have to be published in a manner provided for by law instead of running in the paper for 6 months in each county prior to the election. A lot to take in,
Indeed.
does a lot. And you've got quite a few people. This is the one that everybody is lining up for or against. About 2 weeks ago, Senator Tom Cotton wrote a op-ed piece in our Arkansas Talk Business, in favor of issue 3. We also have the Committee to Protect the Arkansas Constitution, and that group is actually Danny Wright, Randy Zook, and Stanley Hill. And then we have a group out of Northwest Arkansas and here Central Arkansas called Arkansans for Arkansans, and they are composed of Joseph Woods, Janelle Fulmer, William Rockefeller, excuse the typo there, and Mindy McClinda.
Okay.
And then those against, David Couch, he's a local attorney here. He wrote the opposite side in Talk Business. He same issue that Senator Tom Cotton wrote his op-ed in. He took the opposing position, so he's against. He's challenged a lot of these before. We have a group that was formed here. This is earlier this month, called Protect Arkansas Rights. And it's a big group. You can see here it's composed of Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families, AEA, the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, NAACP of Arkansas, and League of Women Voters, just to name a few. Then we've got a couple other groups of Protect Arkansas Voices, and that's David W. McAvoy II, Caleb Baumgartner, and Carl J. Spencer. And all of this stuff is available at the Ethics Commission. Each group that either for or against a particular ballot issue, they have to do a filing. So I found all this at the Election Commission's website, Ethics Commission website, not Election Commission, but Ethics Commission.
Ethics Commission. Okay, the State Ethics Commission.
Yeah, they have to do a filing disclosing who they are, who they're composed of.
Okay.
So we have Save Arkansas Voters Elections, and then we have Defend Direct Democracy. And those are those people who are against issue 3. As you say, issue 3 does a lot, so you would expect to see quite a few people for and against that particular ballot issue. Got any other questions?
Rosalyn, I do. Do we know the lawmakers who were behind each of these issues?
You can find that. The lead sponsors and the bill numbers. I didn't include that here in this particular presentation, but those are available. U of A has put together a voter guide on the ballot issues, and in that guide, they discuss which particular legislatures sponsored these particular ballot issues. It gives you the number, the bill number. So that's a good resource. So if you have any more, want any more information on that, I urge you to look at their comprehensive guide that they put together, and you can find it at www.uaex.edu/ballot. And another good
I agree with you on that one, Rosalyn. I just have to briefly mention this. So my daughter is a senior at a college in Atlanta. So she's voting absentee. And we took some time to go through her ballot so she would understand, you know, these individuals are running for this race, so on and so forth. And so when we got to the ballot titles, the ballot issues. This uaex.edu/ballot was a great resource. She was able to pull up the information herself. She could look and see, okay, if you're going to vote for, this is what voting for means. If you're voting against, this is what against means. It just really spelled out, you know, what the implications are, what it means if you vote for those issues. So I would strongly encourage everyone who is watching this to do a little bit more research, visit that website, because it truly is a very invaluable resource.
Yeah, and there's also Arkansas Advocates. You got to do a little bit of searching and click down into their menu where it goes on the issues, but they also have information. They've taken a couple positions on the ballot issues, and they go through pros and cons also on their website. So that takes us through our ballot issues. Right now we have 3, depending on how they rule on issue 2, and that's the issue 3 is that's also being challenged as of this past Friday.
Okay, and so depending on how the court decides to move on that, it could go up until November 3rd, or is there I'm assuming they were asking for a temporary injunction, or tell me what they were asking for.
They want to take it off the ballot. Relief. They want to take it off the ballot completely. Okay. They want, with the group opposing issue 2 or challenging issue 2, they want it off the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
The group opposing issue 3, they want it off the ballot. But they got to understand the court moves at its own pace. No one dictates the court's pace. So having clerks at the courts and stuff, that's interesting thing that they move at their own pace. You can ask for expedited, but that's at the court's discretion. So.
Okay. So it could be, based on what you just said, it could be November 3rd that they issue a ruling.
It could be.
Perhaps. Okay. Well, I think this has been very insightful. Thank you so much for participating in this discussion. And please, if you are a voter, please make sure that you educate yourselves before you go to the polls. We have had a series of other discussions that are available to view on our website, betapiomega.com, and also on our Facebook page, which is also Beta Pi Omega. You can also view those on our YouTube page, and you can find that at Beta Pi Omega on YouTube. And so thank you so much again, Rosalyn, for joining me for this important discussion. And please remember to, early voting begins on Monday, October 19th. You have until the 27th of October to request an absentee ballot if that is your preferred way of voting this year. And so please make sure that you make your plan, get there to the polls early if you're voting in person, or if you're voting absentee, go ahead and get your ballot and get that done and get it back in the mail or dropped off. The earlier, the better. So again, thank you so much, Rosalyn, and we will say until next time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.